And I think Paul just joined the meeting.
Hi, folks.
Hey, Paul.
Hi, Paul.
Hello.
So we just started the meeting. Welcome, everybody. I guess open forum. Do we have it? I'm assuming we don't.
I don't think we have any guests.
No. Shall we look at the minutes?
Oh, just a little typo in my name on the green amendment.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Make sure we get that corrected. Robert. Sorry about that.
Any other modifications?
I make a motion to approve.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Minutes approved. I guess, did we have, oh no, you have new business twice. Was that a typo?
Oh yeah, I think so. What happened is I ended up moving new business to the top there, and I forgot to delete it from the bottom.
Okay. I guess, do we have new business? I'm trying to think. Or does anybody have any new business they want to bring up?
Yeah, I think everything's on the agenda.
Yep. Okay, so why don't we start with our old business, and Everett's going to give an update on the town Zoom policy.
Yeah, this is just real quick. You may have heard that last planning board meeting, the town was Zoom bombed. And so we had a not so nice situation happen, which prompted us to sort of reevaluate some of the meeting setup and settings that we put together for these Zoom meetings. A lot of it is stuff that we've been doing, but what we're doing now is just kind of memorialize it in writing, and I'm including the SOC in that setup process. But a lot of the stuff includes like basically locking the meeting and admitting people one by one, putting them in a waiting room, making sure certain settings are turned on, that only the host can share a screen, because what happened during this planning board is some of the attendees were able to share a screen and put stuff up that shouldn't be shared publicly. And so we have to make sure that we hit some of those specific settings. And there's a lot of settings within Zoom that even we weren't aware of. So it's nothing new. I just wanted to bring it up to sort of refresh everybody's mind and let you know that we will be issuing sort of a formal type policy. Not much is going to change on your end, but I wanted to keep you posted as to where the town stands. And some of the things we talked about is when we have guests that attend our meetings, unless they're slated to speak in the open forum or, have asked to be identified that way, maybe we can't, ask them, hey, who are you and what are you here for type of thing. I think they can just attend and just sit quietly if they choose to do so, similar to other open public meetings. So that's the type of stuff that we'll be including in the policy, but I just wanted to bring it to your attention, just to let everybody know where we're at. Does anybody have any questions or comments?
And I think also you had mentioned, like, God forbid we have someone come into our meeting that's inappropriate, you would shut it down and then you would email everyone a new link, plus whoever, you're going to figure out the guests too. How
Yeah,
you
so
do
if
that.
if we have a guest speaker, we would want to collect, and I would do this, contact information, email, so that we can readily send them an updated link should something happen. I have all of your emails, so it's pretty easy to send you an updated link for a new meeting. But if we have a guest, we probably want to make sure that we have contact information for them as well. And I would also post the updated meeting link on the town's video webpage, so that that's the type of stuff we'll be writing into. Go visit this page to see, look for the updated link, or wait for an email from me, that type of stuff, on how we'll resume the meeting.
Okay.
Sounds good.
All right. So let's talk about the annual report.
Yep. So,
Everett did a great job.
every time we put these
Impressive, just
together, it
thinking how
always,
much, it's good,
Yeah.
always good to see the report, because it's like, wow, a lot got done.
Right.
Right. Yeah, Everett, great job. Yeah, I'm sorry I didn't have a chance to respond in email, but yeah, very
Yeah.
thorough.
No worries. And I think the idea is to sort of look at an overview of here, and then everybody can go home and edit and provide comments if needed. And, maybe we'll send it out when we're ready and submit it to the town board. But I don't know, Aaron, how do you envision going through this? You want me to just go section by section, or?
I mean, it's hard for me to read that, but that's just me because my old eyes. I just maybe you just want to. You don't have to read the whole thing, but maybe kind of
Give it
guide
a-
us through the key points. So we, if you haven't had a chance to look at it to understand, and then
Sure.
people can go back and comment.
The intro is similar to what we've used in the past, except I've tried to clean it up so it's easily readable. I try to add a little excerpt about COVID and why the report is so late this year, that type of stuff.
Everett, wait, scroll to the top of the page for a moment. Yeah, oh, okay, you changed it. Initially, the secretary had Mike in on there, and I wanted to make sure you were giving yourself
Yeah.
credit. Got it.
Yep.
Yeah, got it. That's good.
I had misspelled my own name.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I'll let you work that out.
So then, the 2019 goals, mostly in the beginning, we were trying to get certified as a climate smart community. That came through in April. I think at that point, we quickly pivoted to finishing up the draft of the climate action plan, putting together the RFP. Then we ran into the whole questions on budgeting and all of that, and we put together an application for a grant that will actually work out really great once the funding comes through. And that's sort of what we're focusing on mostly, because we envision this plan sort of guiding a lot of the actions that the SOC takes in the near future. So some of the highlights here, obviously, we became certified climate smart community. Now, I don't know if you all knew, but this is a 5-year registration, so we have to recertify every 5 years or so, and only certain items that are within the allotted time frame can count again for points. So the greenhouse gas inventory would not be able to count in the 2024 recertification, because it has to be within 5 or 6 years or so, I believe. And the last one we did was in 2014. So just something to keep in mind as we kind of look for tasks throughout the year. Climate action plan grant. So, we submitted and were awarded a climate action plan grant through Climate Smart Communities program. We're working through that process, awaiting the funding to come through. Clean or continued energy benchmarking. So this is a local law that the town passed, where all of the town covered municipal buildings that are 1,000 square feet or greater have to be benchmarked on an annual basis. Now, this is another report that is a little bit past due at this point, but I'm hoping to get this out in a couple of weeks and sort of evaluate what our energy consumption looked like in 2019. So it's something we'll continue to do and work on every year. CCA, Community Choice Segregation, Robin, great job on pushing this forward for the town. And, I did want to, although this is the 2019 report, I did want to add in the little excerpt that, in 2019, this culminated in the actual, CCA being formed and the supplier being picked and all of that. So,
Everett, I wondered if, and the CCA is, I think, a good example of this. I mean, a couple days ago, I did go through the climate action plan, and some of these things we have as goals in the climate action plan, and I believe the CCA is one of them. And I kind of wondered if it's worth noting in the report that this item is, however you want to word it, this item is a component of the climate action plan. And I think it seemed like there was something else there as well, but you just, I guess I would keep that in mind in the report. It just might be worth.
I love that.
Items. I don't know.
Yeah.
yeah, no, that's a good point. Oh, certainly. Okay, I'll throw that in there. I added a note here. Also, what I started doing is mostly as a reminder for myself, and I can take this out if you all want, but I started adding sort of these links to documents that pertain to these actions. I started including them sort of just to remind myself as I was going through the report, but they might make sense to kind of leave in there as a a reminder of something that was accomplished there. But
I think it's a good idea. I saw that.
yeah. The continued support for carbon fee and dividend, it's something we've worked on for a couple of years. Just recently, last year, we had the Citizens Climate Lobby come and request some additional support, which the SOC did provide with a caveat, as long as there's a mechanism that allows the local governments to participate in distribution of carbon dividends. The EPA treasure hunt, could potentially be a good project as an internal energy audit where the local clean energy community coordinator will stop by the town with some help from the SOC and town staff. We would perform an audit and report on potential changes or updates that the town can make to reduce their energy consumption at our facilities here. Due to COVID, the audit was put on hold. It is something that I will follow up on, but I thought, it could be the beginning of something really interesting. The Pedestrian Scramble letter, this was in the beginning of 2019. I thought this was a good letter that the committee put together, looking for evaluations on safety at the 12 Corners interchange there. And the introduction of the focus area groups, which sort of are allowing more focus into specific items that could then come back to the committee at large, was started in 2019. So that's sort of the summary of the report. If anybody has any questions on any portion, just let me know and be more than happy to go through it.
Thank you. I think it looks great.
Yep.
I agree.
Aaron, so what are you thinking? I'll make the updates, some of the notes that we just talked about here, and then distribute to the committee for a final look, and then we work on submitting it to the town board for receiving and filing. Okay.
Mhm.
All right, good. So I'm hoping that in a couple of weeks I can get out a draft benchmark report for you all to review, and then we can get both reports out of the way, hopefully in 2020, and then soon, shortly thereafter, start working on the 2020 reports in 2021. So, all right, great.
Okay, Everett, quick update, anything?
No, the update is very much in a holding pattern. The good update, or maybe good update, is that Aaron and I talked about sitting down with Mike Guyon and talking about moving forward or what the potential steps might be. So Aaron, I did talk to Mike about setting up a meeting. I think he's going to reach out to you for a meeting next week. I don't know what'll come of it, but maybe we'll have a little bit better direction on how we intend on proceeding with some of these items, because I know the committee wants to get going on works that maybe pertain to the climate action plan, but there is some concern about doing work that, wouldn't count towards in-kind services as part of the grant. And so I think we're just trying to figure out a path forward, especially with the climate action plan being sort of a master guiding document on the committee's action and the town's direction for sustainability going forward. So I guess stay tuned, Aaron,
Okay.
for the invitation, and we'll sort of go from there.
So I think the next item is talk about, maybe Everett, you can pull up the list of the pollinator habitats. And so I guess Mike would like to be part of each field trip. Is that what you mentioned?
Yeah, so he wants to, whatever sites we go visit, he wants to tag along and go visit as well. A little bit of the concern is that we'll have to just sort of engage neighbors in the area to let them know what's going on, what to expect, because we very much do have a concern that, as we start trialing some of these pollinator habitats, we might get a little bit of blowback from neighbors or residents that might not be familiar with what these things are intended to look like. And so, we've had these areas that, are currently mowed that we thought maybe we can trial, start small, sort of maybe nondescript, even though it's not ideal for sharing the education. It would be a way for us to trial and see how it goes so that we can move to some of the bigger areas. Like I know, Paul, we've talked about Buckland Park. And I did find out that it sounds like a contractor does mow the park, but so does town staff, because the contractor only mows it X number of times per year. And so what our town staff does is they go in between and clean it up. And so, that's something where we might have to bring it to maybe, Robin, you can jump in, but maybe bring it to Parks and Rec committee and engage Matt Beeman, our director of Parks, and all of that, if that's the route that we want to pursue, maybe after we trial like Lockdeville or something like that. And a little bit of background here, I did not know that we have a butterfly garden at Meridian Center Park. So that might be a field trip as well, where maybe we can go and visit how it's doing. I did talk to,
small, right?
Huh?
Pretty small.
Yeah, very small. Yeah, very small. Yeah. The feedback that I got from Matt, though, is that at least for this particular garden, is fairly maintenance intensive, and there's a group of volunteers, I guess, that maintains it. They go back, they cut back things, they remulch areas and that type of stuff. And maybe that's not what we're proposing for these other areas. But I just wanted to throw that out there for your knowledge. And, maybe we can visit and say, this is not what we're going for. This is not the look. This is not the type of plantings that we're going for. But I was not aware that we had this. So I don't know if you all aware. But,
I mean, we should all, I guess, understand our expectations, and, maybe it's, I guess Tom Snyder said that, once we zero in on a site, he would come out and look at that. But, I've only looked, I don't like inspect the one at Meridian, but I've seen it several times. And, it's like we mow up to it really closely, Well, that's not going to help the situation at all. If you're, it's like you start weed whacking around, the pollinator, these plants, and it's like, and so I just think there's an educational component to, the town staff. It's sort of like, this thing that you were just saying, how at Buckland, and Mitch, I think you brought this up at the last meeting, where it's like, why do we mow so often? And I can see on that, obviously on the sports fields, soccer, baseball fields, during season, you want to mow them. But the other ones, it's like, it's not healthy to the lawns, and it's all, it's not healthy to the trees when they get weed whacked, and, I'm all for doing the pollinator gardens, but, you know, we just have to, we have to think about who's maintaining them, how they're maintained.
Yeah, oh, sorry.
Go ahead, Robin.
I would second that. You know, the intent is to have these be less maintenance rather than more maintenance. And I hadn't realized that that was envisioned as a pollinator garden.
Right.
I mean, the mulch and whatnot, that's not what I really envisioned. And this, yeah, it does seem to be very tended for for a pollinator garden. So I think we should definitely have a field trip to take a look at it just for contrast. But I didn't realize that that is what people were envisioning as a pollinator garden, at least from the staff standpoint. So I think once we explain to them what our vision is, they're going to realize that this is not something that is labor intensive. This is intended to save them some labor.
I had a conversation with a biologist, and I can't remember where he was from, but he was an expert in pollinators and how to encourage them. And he just said, you know what, you don't have to mow. I would think we should revisit the whole mowing policy of Brighton. To the point, why are we contracting it out and these guys are going around? And if you go to Buckland, every single tree there is stunted because the bottom is almost gone from the bark, from getting dinged up by mowers. And we don't mulch around the trees, so that's why they get dinged up. And then we could mow much less frequently, and then we wouldn't have to contract out. I mean, if we have the capabilities of mowing, why are we contracting out? Is there I don't know, then we could, if we mowed 1/3 the time in a lot of places, maybe it wouldn't be something we'd have to spend that money on at all.
Yeah, I think there are a couple of departments that mow. There's the parks and there's highway. And I will tell you that we do have residents, when things are not mown to the standard that they deem necessary, will contact the town. And in the case of areas near the highway, near the roadways, it can become a safety issue. We got a lot of complaints about the Monroe Avenue GIGP grasses getting very tall and impeding sight lines, and so I think any type of progress in this area would have to come with a healthy dose of public information. People expect certain things, and we just have to re-educate.
I mean, I agree. I mean, what if we came out with a campaign of, this is, we're going to save this much money by mowing this much less. I mean, there's got to be a dollar value for every time a mower goes out and mows. If we could cut that by 1/3, we say we saved this much money, you guys are going to put up with 4-inch grass instead of 2-inch grass for a little bit, or something like that. It seems like we could educate people that this is a cost savings and a carbon
savings. I mean, decrease our footprint by quite a bit if we did not.
Right.
Those mowers are horrific when it comes to pollution.
Yeah.
And then clean up and everything is
right. Then they not only the mowers but the blowers, they seem to have to follow the mowers. Right.
I mean, I don't know how open they are to it,
Yeah.
but it'd be nice to look at the whole, if there's some sort of policy, when does it get mowed? Is it as needed thing, or is there where it gets mowed, who does it? It'd be interesting to see what I don't even know where the town is responsible for mowing, because there's some
there's a whole schedule, and that is available. I'm sure we could get that from Mike probably ever, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, without trying to tell them what to do, do you think they would be open to adjusting what they do and then not putting some guy out of business, but freeing somebody up to do other things around town, if budgets are tight?
Mitch, when I talked to Mike about this, he pushed back, like I completely agree with you. Mike said that a lot of times residents, are very cognizant of the level of the grass. And he said, as far as the cost savings, it's hard to break out because so much of the mowing is done by town staff. It's not calculated as savings if the town staff is not mowing, but doing other work because they get paid regardless. So he said he didn't think he could break out the cost savings, or he couldn't calculate the cost savings for the town staff's time that was not spent mowing. Although it seems to you and me that that's definitely they can be doing something more productive, right?
But they can break out, like if a contractor does it, and then it
Right.
becomes a
Yeah, how much is
budget
that guy?
neutral activity.
How much is the contractor getting paid where we could just have our town staff do it every time if they do it a third less?
Well, I think that we deliberately chose areas where we were contracting out the mowing for the purposes of this study. And so, again, we can quantify it. We know the areas that we contract out mowing and where, town staff does it. But I know Mike was very intentional about choosing these locations because we can demonstrate cost savings because we contract out this mowing.
And also they're not areas he thought would really attract a lot of notice right away.
Yeah, I don't know. Kirk and Astor might. Kirk and Astor might. I mean, that's the one site where I'm like, oh gosh.
Yeah, I've over the years, we're working with the committee, the way we've gotten things through is sort of just starting small and keep pushing and pushing until it becomes an actual thing. And I think Mike's concern is if we start with these large swaths in parkland or something like that, it's going to be very jarring to the public, because Robin and Mike have expressed, our residents are very active in knowing things that are supposed to be mowed and not mowed, and we will hear about it fairly quickly, without first having expressed some sort of education and sort of campaigning that for a little bit. Because we need to make sure that folks in the park department are comfortable, if the town board is comfortable, and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And if we had the,
oh, sorry, go ahead, Erin.
sorry, I was thinking, if we had the climate action plan funding to have to have these public meetings, that would be the perfect time to talk about these issues and try to help change the mindsets and educate people. So that's part of the issue here is like, so maybe if we do this, I think the idea is do like a small demo project.
Yep.
That can prove, internally and then ultimately externally that this is budget neutral or cost savings. It's actually increasing species diversity and, saving greenhouse gas emissions, and people might, plus I think, Everett, there's like some New York state law you mentioned, there might be some changes anyways coming down the pike.
Yeah, I haven't heard much about it, but yes, there is some potential. I think it's national law. It's all based on whether the monarch gets put on the endangered list or not. And they were pretty confident that some restrictions would be coming along for mowing within the right of way. And so, yeah, I mean, that very much could force our hand in terms of what we can and can't do in terms of mowing within public right of ways. I'll follow up on that. I'm not sure if we've had any updates. I know Cornell Cooperative was spearheading this project with Monroe County DOT and New York State DOT because they would be the primary agencies affected because they have large linear swaths of land there.
Yeah, I think Tom Snyder probably knows more on that as well.
Yeah.
Right.
So we can correlate the mowing and the blowing and all that to carbon and pollution and show that as a direct consequence.
Yeah, and I think what we're hoping to be able to do is use the climate action plan as the mechanism to sort of spearhead a lot of these projects, and we're sort of stuck at the moment.
It'd be
Yeah, and I-
interesting to see- I'm
Okay.
sorry. It's interesting to see how many man hours are spent on lawn maintenance and equate that with the equipment that they use. And I think it'd be pretty telling to see the money spent and the amount of pollutants that are put out doing something that, maybe could be done a little more efficiently or less frequently.
Yeah, I mean, this is a kind of a side story from the pollinator gardens. But I guess the question is, how do we move that forward? I mean, as we're having this discussion, thinking back to, and not all of you were on the committee when we really kind of pushed on the issue of yard debris pickup. And even though to some of us, it still seems like it happens often, it's happening less than it used to. And the concern was when we moved to that, there might be real upheaval from the town, well, it did. I don't know how many complaints the town received, but we had to do a whole study as to, I think Tom actually did that whole study.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what it takes, which seems kind of crazy, but it's a big deal. I mean, I think, as we're all saying, if we really looked at the numbers, both cost savings and, carbon emissions, it's a big deal, I guess my question is, how do we move that forward?
Well, I was thinking maybe, the beautification committee does have that column that they have in Brighton Connections, and maybe we can start talking about pollinator gardens and the benefits, with the master gardener who's writing that column. And, I'm sure that they would be receptive to that. But again, I think we just don't want people talking about how it's unkept, and that's what we're going to hear. And so maybe partnering with the beautification committee and a public education campaign would be something that would benefit us.
Yeah, but that's not what I was talking about. I mean, that's a fine idea.
Yeah.
I'm talking about all the mowing and
Yeah, I know.
Along the roads, that's one thing, but we have Buckland Park, we have Meridian, which, those are huge tracts of land. And it's sort of like, well, let's do a small pollinator garden. That's great, but the insects that we're killing by the amount of mowing that we're doing, it's sort of like, whatever the analogy of putting, your thumb in the dike is. It's true though.
Yeah.
I think we all know that.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying let's not do the pollinator gardens, but we're also talking about something different, which is about the extent of mowing we're doing. And the question is it this committee that determines how do we move that forward? What kind of study is done, which is probably no easy task to do.
Right. Yeah.
Everett, is this document you've got up, is that shared with us?
Yes. This one's it's shared, but it's a little bit, so you guys all should have access to this folder called SOC documents.
Yeah.
So within here, there's a folder for focus area subgroups. Within here, there's a folder for each subgroup, and this is under pollinator gardens.
Okay, and so if we look at that document, are we doing these all on one day, or I don't see a date on there, or maybe because we don't have E available.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the things we can decide. They do not have to be done on the same day.
Okay.
A small group can go one day at their leisure, a different group can go. Sort of keep me posted, because I think Mike wants to tag along with as many on these as he can. If not, I'm sure I'll be out there.
Are these going to be weekdays or?
whatever's
Yeah,
works best for you all. I can do the weekends. Sure, Mike can probably do the weekends. I'm putting words in his mouth, but if not, I can do weekends. So that's not a problem at all.
so I thought maybe either if you want to put your name, you can, if you're not ready to, I mean, either you can give us like, hey, I'm willing to go visit Deerfield Woods or Kirk and Astor, you know, and then once we know who wants to go to which area, then we could do a small group sidebar and figure out when the date is, or a couple dates, because we'll have to get, Mike wants to go in Everett, so. Or
Yeah,
at least we could put a couple, maybe that column on dates are like, you know, several possible dates,
Oh, yeah.
you know, so then we can all decide. So if we get like, you know, 2 to 3 people per one, or, you know,
for me, it's more a question of dates are less available than locations.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Like I've got next Wednesday as a teacher, I'm off on Wednesday, so that's a good day for me to move around and go to places. So I don't know if anyone else is free, and I'll go wherever on that date.
Yeah, I'm good next Wednesday too.
Teachers,
I can do Wednesday.
We just want next Wednesday morning.
Yeah, do something early.
yeah, I can't do Wednesday mornings right now, but that, we don't all need to be there too.
Yeah.
This can be, and I think the idea is like to go take pictures, walk around, observe, and then you can put the pictures in the folder. So we have
Okay.
some thoughts.
I just wonder if you just come up with a couple times.
Yeah.
Because, Everett, because, you know, between your schedule and Mike's, and it seems like Nate and Mitch, you know, teaching Wednesday is a good day.
Okay.
You know, I'm kind of generally flexible. I have some meetings, but probably work around a lot of that.
Should I invite Tom Snyder to any of these, or do we want to bring him in later?
I think
Maybe
Frank-
later.
Yeah, maybe.
Let's wait till after.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll just tell him that we're in the process of doing this, and when we decide on a location or locations, then we can bring him in.
Mhm.
If you talk to him, Nate, ask him about the Meridian Center Garden. Apparently, the Seneca Park Zoo Conservatory was involved, so he might have a little insight into that.
Yeah, I'll ask him that. And I also got some research from Dr. Caitlin Stack-Whitney. She is at RIT, and she did the RIT garden with Tom.
Yeah.
So she sent me a paper she just published, and it compared a standard, like a DOT mix, which supported 7. They basically saw how many pollinators were supported. So the standard mix supports 7 local insects, and just adding, I think it was white clover,
Right.
jumped that number up to 16. But the mix that Tom was supporting, they did find evidence for over 520 insect species, many of which were on the endangered or watch list. So there seems to be a major difference between the mixes of seed.
I mean, I could go, it's Thanksgiving week, but I could go Wednesday, the 25th, because I don't have class that week.
I think I'm free that day too.
We could do several Wednesdays.
Yeah.
Different spots.
Yeah. So
Maybe
I don't
just-
know.
What I think might work best is just saying those Wednesdays and see when you and Mike are free, and then send us an email and say who can meet us there.
That's a good, yeah.
Yeah.
Good point, Rich.
Okay.
Yep, that's what I'll do. I don't know if it'll
Okay.
be too late, but next, we're not, it sounds like we were intending on skipping the December SOC meeting, so maybe that might be a good Wednesday as well. I don't know if it's too far into
Yeah.
it.
Fine. I may have to leave in about 10 minutes to go get my son.
I think we're almost done with pollinator, right?
Yeah, it sounds like we have a path forward, at least on the pollinators, and I'll work on getting some times out and go from there.
Thank you. Okay, so green amendment.
Yeah, this one's been moved,
Robin?
right? I think Robin can probably help me out on this. We were able to submit a letter of support to the town board for a green amendment in the New York State Constitution. That was submitted and approved by the town board at the last meeting. And Robin, I'll let you take it from here.
Yeah, I want to thank you for your support. The letter was included in the agenda for the last town board meeting of October 28th, and we were able to pass a resolution in support of the Green Amendment with the letter from the SOC and a letter from myself and Supervisor Maley, encouraging our newly elected members of the state Senate and Assembly for Brighton to take action on this in the next legislative session. So now we know, well, it looks very much like Jeremy Cooney will be the state senator-elect for Senate District 56, and Sarah Clark is the assembly member-elect for Assembly District 136. So we will address the letter directly to them as our state representatives, and hopefully they will be casting votes in favor of advancing this to a referendum.
Yeah,
That's great.
worked out well. Aaron, do you want me to move on to CCA update? And I
Yes,
think
CCA. I
Rob-
forgot I was on mute.
No worries. I think Robin's also up as well here. Robin, do you have any updates on this?
Yeah, well, we're moving right along. We had our first information session back in mid-October. I think it was, I can't remember the exact date, but we had our first public information session. It was the best attended of all the CCA public information sessions that we had. It was held virtually via Zoom. We had some great questions. We're moving forward with the second session, I believe, on November 17th. And so that will meet the legislative requirement for public information sessions. We might hold additional ones, but at very least will have met the legal requirement. Moving forward, we did decide to also move forward with the community solar option because we have the same vendor for both the CCA and community solar. So in our public information sessions, we are talking about the opt-up to community solar, which will be guaranteed savings of 10%. And yeah, the opt-out letter should go out. I believe it has to go out by mid this month. And, you know, traditionally the opt-out rate is very low. So we'll be implementing, you know, January 21. So we're really excited. Moving along.
Great news. Yeah, thank you, Robin.
Yeah.
Okay, and then we just have development updates.
Oh, okay. Let's see. Okay, so I tried to add some red text for potential updates here. Winter Farmers Market is just keeps chugging along. Basically, at the end of this month, we should have most of the interior renovations completed for the building that's currently standing there. I am continuing with the civil site design throughout this fall, winter. Hoping, we'll get through to those updates, parking lot, et cetera, next year. Let's see, Highland Park Canal Trailway, the trail is open, everything's finalized. We did submit for an award application from the Community Design Center, and it is a finalist. I don't know when we're told, if we were selected or not.
The awards, it happens at the program.
Oh, okay.
Versus virtual, and that's November 19th.
Yeah, okay. Great, thanks, Paul. So as part of the being nominated as a finalist, there's some emails that are going out, just sort of talking about the project and all of that. So fingers crossed. If you haven't tried it, it's a great trail, really beautiful and areas. Yeah. Library roof replacement. We are currently under design. SWBR is our design consultant. They are looking at various alternatives and options for that roof replacement. So that continues here. CCA, as Robin indicated, a great launch of a groundbreaking program here of 100% renewable electricity for Brighton residents. And so that will be implemented January 2021. Climate action plan. It's hurry up and wait. We'll meet with Mike and Aaron next week, see if we can figure out a path forward while we wait. In the meantime, I do keep communication with the state on potential updates, and I have not heard much yet. Same thing with the multiversity plan. A lot of these state grants are in a holding pattern until the state figures out their fiscal situation here. So hopefully we'll hear something on these soon. Highway management plan, this continues. Reason I haven't been able to get a mowing map together is because Brett's out on the road evaluating all of our conditions of our road every day. Should have completed the roadway survey by this fall here. So we're pretty close on it, and we should be able to do some pretty interesting thing for budget planning, mapping, etc. of all of our roadways fairly soon. That is all I have. I don't know if you.
Everett, do you think I think it was at our last meeting, and others on the committee can probably speak to this better than I can, but we talked about the tree inventory.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of wondered if we should have that on, got your highway management plan on here. It seems like where are we on the tree inventory might be a good thing to put on there. And Brett's very involved with that. We were actually trained. My wife and I were trained to.
Oh, are you? Okay, good.
To do it. So we're helping George out. I think he can use as much help as he can. And this is, the town's kind of required to do this. So it's a really good. Shubangi, of course, you were there too. And anyhow, I think it's good to do. It was interesting because at our first session. Or only session with George there, because we're looking at the trees, documenting the trees that are in the town's right of way. But initially on the GPS map, the right of ways weren't shown. So it was kind of like, well, how do you know if the tree is in the right of way or in someone's actual yard? And,
yeah.
And the whole process is it's going to take a long time, and it's going to need more people to do it. But we're kind of debugging the system now, and it's very interesting. For those who, George got these measuring sticks. I don't know if Mitch you've seen these, but these it's great. It's like, so it'll be interesting to see how it goes. But I just think it's going to go on for a while, and it's as important to this committee as it is to the conservation committee as it is to the town.
Yeah, Paul, that's a great idea. I will add it to the project list, and we'll keep you updated. I'm sure Mitch can also keep you more up to date than I can. But I'm glad to hear that you're on the team here. So it seems like as part of that initial meeting, some feedback came back regarding right of ways and boundaries. So. Yeah, Brett did push an update. I don't know if it's made it to you all yet, but
those of us who were in the initial training, like Shubangi was, Brett sent that out to us.
Yeah, so it's great. You know, we added our parcels that hopefully will help clarify the location of those trees going forward. So it's a cool little project, I think, you know.
Cool, big project, not little.
Yeah, cool big project, you're right. And, you know, ultimately the idea here is, you know, we can update our tree inventory, but also apply for a grant to help us maintain and plant and manage our trees.
Very cool project, and I think that there's now partnership with the Brighton Rec in order to get more people signed up
Oh, okay.
through the recreation department. It'll be published in the next winter spring online brochure. So hopefully we'll have more people participating and trained.
Mhm.
I have to run. I'm sorry. It was good seeing everybody.
Yep,
No
thanks,
worries.
Mitch.
Thank you, Mitch.
Bye, Mitch.
Mitch.
Um,
I think That's it.
I think that's it. Anybody have any new business to share? I'm not sure if we got to that before.
yeah, see, there's a yeah, I'll have to
Maybe
clean
there's something new, something else we want to share.
I guess, you know, my only question here is the next meeting. Are we set on skipping December and going to January, or do we want to meet in December? Or?
I mean, unless something is happening, it feels like we'd be better off using the time doing a site visit and
Yep.
And meet in January, and hopefully we'll have some more updates on what's going on with funding from the state and
Mhm.
things like that. And if that's not a possibility, then there'll be some time to talk to the town, or, you know, start those discussions on what do we do with the climate action plan.
I
And what
think
our
that's
role
a
is.
solid plan. I think that. Oh, and my only question is, does anybody want to present the letter on 2019 accomplishments formally at a town board meeting or at a community services committee meeting? Either. That's an option. Just want to put it out there.
What are the dates on that, Robin?
Yeah.
Community services is on November 18th, 9:30 a.m. And town board is either November 11th, 7 p.m. or November 25th, 7 p.m.
November 11th is coming up soon.
Yeah,
That might not be ready for it at that point.
Yeah.
Mm.
right. So
I can't do the 18th. That's like what day of the
Right.
week? That's a Thursday. I
It's a
have class that
Wednesday.
day.
yeah, Wednesday morning, unfortunately.
Is it a Wednesday morning? Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't do that, but I could do 7 p.m. on November 25th.
Okay.
And Robin, just is it the 24th?
Oh shoot! I'm sorry. Yeah, I scratch that because it's
Okay.
Thanksgiving Eve. We're
Yeah.
doing it at town board on the 24th. Thank you, Everett.
Yeah, no problem.
So Tuesday, November 24th would be our second town board meeting for November.
I mean, I think that's fine with me.
Okay. All right. Great. So
Does anybody else want to join me?
I'll join you.
Okay.
Awesome.
By the way, my mic was on mute earlier when Paul was talking, and I was saying things and I did not realize that it was on mute.
I was hoping you were going to jump in. You know?
Yeah, I was talking. Sorry. But the GIS is very helpful and lots of layers that Brett can help us with.
Yeah.
Okay, folks, I'm going to sign off. I think we're set, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you
Do I
very
hear a
much.
motion to adjourn?
Yes.
Second.
All right. Thank you
Yeah.
all.
Very much. Have a
Thank
good night.
you.
All right.
Have a good night. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.